Welcome to session 7 of the Quranic Arabic Study Group. And today we will briefly revise Surah Fatiha, which we covered 2 weeks ago. And we'll have a short Surah Al-Kafiroon, which doesn't have too many new words. We'll cover that briefly today. And I'll also try to introduce as I mentioned last time, there's a dictionary which has the conjugation of Arabic words. So, but that does require use of the Arabic keyboard. So I will try to cover the Arabic keyboard briefly initially as well. So let's do a revision of Surah Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praises and thanks to Allah, the Lord of the universe. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the most gracious, the most merciful. Maliki Yawmiddin, the master of the day of judgment. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. You alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. Ihdinas Siratal Mustaqim. Guide us to the path that is straight, to the straight path. Siratal Lazina An'amta Alayhim, the path of those you have bestowed your favors on them. Ghairil Maghdubi Alayhim Waladdallin. Ameen. And not of those who have earned your wrath on themselves, and not of those who have gone astray. We covered a large number of new words last time. Just to take a quick look at them, there was Saad, Seen, Meme, Wow. That has meaning Asma and Sama, Ism and Sama, which means both name as well as the sky. Then we had Rahima, Yarhamu, as the verb goes. Hamida, Yahmadu is the word for hamd. Alima ya'lamu, malaka yamduku, and I'm using the mazi and the mudari form of these two words. And ya waw meen, which was for the day, and deen was for religion, and it was used in different ways. Abada ya'budu, again for worship, and ayn, waw, noon, and this was used as in form 10 over here, to ask for help or to seek help. And ha dal ya, hadaya, and as we know it as hidayat, often used as hidayat. Swad, Ra, and Ta, Sirat al-Mustaqim as the path, and Qaf, Waw, Mim, Qama, Yaqumu, to stand, and Swad, Ra, Ta, Sirat again, the path, Allazi is of those, Naima, Yan'amu, Noon, Ain, Mim, and this was used as An'amta, you have bestowed favors on, and Ghair, Ghain, Ya, Ra, not of those, and Ghadaba, Yaghdabu, those who earned your wrath, Al-Maghdub, and Dalla, Dad, Lam, Mim, Dalla, Yadullu, those who go astray. So that was a brief review of some of the words that we covered last time. Let's review now the Surah Al-Kafiroon. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun la a'budu ma ta'budun wa la antum a'biduna ma a'bud wa la ana a'bidum ma a'badtum wa la antum a'biduna ma a'bud. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Sadaqallahu azim. Now the translation. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. Say, O disbelievers, La a'budu ma ta'budun. Not do I worship what you worship. Wala antum a'biduna ma a'bud. And nor are you worshippers of what I worship. Wala ana a'bidum ma abattum. And nor am I a worshipper of what you worship. Wala antum a'biduna ma a'bud. And nor are you worshippers of what I worship. Lakum dinakum waliya deen. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. So this is an interesting surah, which uses the two basic new words, kafara and abada, several times. And let's take a look at these words. So the first word is kafara, and this is again a very frequent word in the Quran, occurring 525 times in 14 different derived forms. Here it is used as basically an active participle. So if you look at the word, it has kafara. Kafara is the basic verb one form as a verb. Kafara yakfuru. And the active participle is being used over here, which is Kafiroon. And Kafiroon means the one who performs kufr. So the one who performs. And there are several other words which are used, but not as frequently. For example, kaffara, which is the form two, and then kafir, which is a noun, which is also used 27 times. This is something that we're quite familiar with. And kufr, noun kufr over here, and so on. And hopefully we'll cover these as we come across them as we go through the Quran, inshallah. The active participle kafirun is quite commonly used as well, as we can see. And you can see that this particular word is used in both as a noun as well as an adjective. So if you look at this word, for example, over here in Surah 86, it is فَمَهِّلِ الْكَافِرِينَ أَمْهِلْهُمْ رَوَيْدًا. So the word is the same, al-kafirina, and here it is in Surah Baqarah over here. Oops. Surah, I think I pressed the wrong. Okay, let me go back to the, I think it jumped to the wrong slide. Yeah, okay. So in Surah Baqarah, it is used as Anta Maulana Fansurna ala al-Qawm al-Kafirin. So if you notice that these two words are exactly the same, al-Kafirin, but here it is being referred to as a noun, versus here it's being referred to as an adjective. So can someone tell me why these two are the same words, but one is being used as a noun and the other is being described as an adjective? Why do we think that's the case? So if you look at it, here there is no noun before it. So here it's being used as a noun as an adjective of a noun. So it is describing al qawmil kafirin. So the nation of the disbelievers. And here the word is simply being used as the disbelievers. So the word is the same, but the sense in which it is being used is different in these two cases. So this was just a general comment on the word. And this is true for, I guess, all words in Arabic. They can be used as both a noun as well as an adjective in different parts of a speech. Um, Now, over here, if we go back, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. So the translation is say, O disbelievers. La abudu ma ta'budun. Now let's take a look at the word abada. And as you can see over here, it's being used as a verb. And here, in this particular case, it is also being used as a verb. But of course, these are different types of verbs. So let's take a look at abada. So here it's occurring, as you can see, that it's again quite frequently used in the Quran, 275 times. And we have basically in Surah Kafirun, the following two forms are being used. It's being used both as a verb as well as an active participle. In the first, in this particular ayah, la abudu ma ta'budun is being used both in both times as a verb. But as we'll see later on, it'll be used both as a noun, as a verb in the subsequent sentences. But let's first take a look at this. So, la abudu ma ta'budun. Um, La abudu ma ta'budun is being used over here. So I don't worship. Now, if you try to determine how is this word being formed, so we know that abada ya budu. This is the Mazi form and this is the Mudare form. So one can determine that La Abudu is coming from the Mudare form. And if you say Yabudu is he worships, and Abudu would be I worship. Right? You simply replace the Ya with an Alif as we've been taught. So La Abudu means I don't worship. I not. It could be used both as present tense or the future tense. La abudu ma ta'budun, and ta'budun is again you worship, and this is so. So by the way, this is singular. La abudu. It could have been na'budu, which would have been we worship, but here it's being used in the singular sense over here, and ta'budun is now being used as in the second person and the plural. So abada yabudu, and if you wanted to convert it into second person, it would be ta'budu. And if you then wanted to convert it into plural, it would be ta'budun. Ta'budun. So you worship or you all worship is what is being said. Na'abudu ma ta'budun. So na'abudu ma ta'budun. I do not worship what you worship, what you all worship. Wala antum abiduna ma a'bud. And now it is being said, it is being used as a noun, and not are you worshippers of what I worship. So as you can see here, the word abidun is being used as a noun in the sense that you are not worshippers of what I worship. And here you can see that this is being used as a verb. Now, abidun, if we go back to the different forms of the verb, so abidun is now an active participle, worshippers. So this is clearly a noun, and abidun would be the one who worships. So abid, as is being used over here, and abidun is simply the plural form. So wala ana abidun, Abidum ma'abattum. So this here is the active participle, which is basically the one who worships, or a worshipper, as being translated over here. So la a'budu ma ta'budun, wala antum a'biduna ma a'bud, and not are you worshippers of what I worship. And then the next ayah is wala ana a'bidum ma abattum. Now the reverse is being stated, and not am I a worshipper of what you worship. So you can see again here, abidun is being used in the noun form, and abattum is the verb form. Let's take a closer look at this particular word here. And this is over here, wala ana abidum ma abattum. So abattum is basically, how can we derive this word? It's a little different from the others. Abattum. Any ideas? Wala ana abidum ma abattum. So this is basically a verb form. So it has to be derived from these words. And it is clearly not a mudari, it must be a mazi. So it is from abada, and then abadtum is being added over here. So, and so this is in the past tense, you worship, and tum is a plural for all of you. We might want to go back and review the mazi forms if you want to further derive this. But let's go on. Wala ana abidum ma abattum, wala antum abiduna ma a'bud. And this sentence, this ayah, of course, is a complete repetition of the second ayah. And not are you worshippers of what I worship. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. For you is your religion, and for me is mine. And most of these words we've already come across. Deen we've come across before as well, and that's being repeated over here. So this was a fairly simple surah in terms of new words. And if there are any questions about this, we can discuss those, or I can go on and talk a little bit about the use of the Arabic keyboard.
Comments, question also.
Sorry, yeah.
So what comment was that whenever I hear the word kafara and kafir, I am always intrigued by the other meaning, which is cover. Those who cover the truth, right?
Right. So if you look,
yeah, quite amazing Arabic language, things derived from each other.
Right, and let's see, is that being used over here in that sense, the word to cover?
Well, yeah, I'm surprised that it's not there, but I mean, it's like the derivation of kafir is the one who covers the truth, right?
Yeah, right. That's true. So, and well, we could take a closer look at this and see, is this actually used in that sense as well in the Quran? But I know that the two words are fairly closely linked together, and I've heard that before as well. We can take.
By the way, active participle means the doer of the verb. The word active participle.
Yeah. So Arabic, for example, would be the one who prays, and kafir would be the one who practices, you know, disbelief. Um, so it's a noun, but it's the one who.
The other question I had was, when you talked about tabidun, so that's you worship, you all worship, right?
So if you, which sentence, let me just make sure. So where exactly are you referring to?
Yeah, the last word on this ayat,
Yeah,
tabidun.
yeah. So it is clearly as a plural. So
Mm-hmm.
I la abudu ma ta'budun. I do not worship what you all worship. So you could say there's an all in here as well. If it
So
was
tabudu
simply,
is, yeah, if it was just simply tabudu.
yeah, if it was simply ta'budu, it would be you specifically talking about one particular person. But since the understanding is here that there were several people who could have been in front of the Prophet, so he's referring to all of them, that I don't worship what you all worship.
Can you just remind me how would you write they all worship or they worship?
So if you're saying, so if we go back over here, let's see, Abada Yabudu. So Abada would be he worshipped, okay? Yabudu would be he worships. This would be in the present slash future tense, right? And this would be past tense, right? And if you're saying ta'budun, so you're basically taking the mudari form, yabudu, and first of all, you're converting it into the second person, all right? So
Yeah.
when you have a ya before it, it implies third person, and you're converting this to second person, right? So ta'budu would be you worship. And when you're converting it into plural, you add waw noon as well, ta'budun.
And third person?
Yeah. So no, this is still second person, but second person plural.
Yeah.
So the plural is coming in from waw noon. Okay, and the
How to
second,
make third person?
and if you would make it a third person, you would say yabudu, and you would say yabudun, yabudun. So if you want to say that they worship, for example, if I say I don't worship what they worship, you would say la abudu ma yabudun,
Okay.
right? So
So
you could,
Yabudu is also third person.
sorry.
In
Yes.
in
So
this square in the in the rectangle you've made, that's third Yabudu.
yeah. So this is all
Third
third person.
person. Okay.
The default is third person, third person. And when you want to convert it to first person, you either have an alif before it or a noon. So na'budu. So this would be we, plural, and this would be singular.
Okay. I should revise my conjugation basically.
Yeah, yeah. So abudu, na'budu would be I worship and we worship. Abudu would be you worship, and yabudu would be their worship,
Okay. Thank you.
right? Um, so any further comments, Mushtaq Saab? Okay, if not, I just wanted to briefly show you how one could use, I don't know if either one of you have tried the Arabic keyboard ever. So what you can do is, so the reason for that is basically if you wanted to use the dictionary, so if you look at, let me just move this downwards. So if you wanted to use the dictionary, I haven't figured out a way to actually use, for example, if you wanted to search for a particular word, abada or kafara, so you need to use it, use the Arabic keyboard to be able to find it. Okay. And the only way you can do that, that I've found so far, is that you switch to the Arabic keyboard. And it's a little bit of an effort, but I think it's worth it if you want to regularly use, Arabic seriously. So you can simply go. Can you see this when I'm typing LANG language at the bottom in my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then you can go into edit language and keyboards, and then you can add a language. So if you click on this, you'll see, and if you type Arabic, you'll see all of these options normally in like, in Windows. And I normally use the Arabic, the Saudi version. So I've got this already installed. As you can see that I have both English as well as Saudi Arabic installed. And what that allows me to do is switch between English and Arabic. So I hope you can see this ENG written at the bottom of my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can switch between Arabic and English. And sometimes it's a little annoying, it switches automatically as well. And then, you can always disable it as well if you get not using it. So for example, and then the next thing is, once you've installed it, you need to know the Arabic keyboard. So I have a little file over here which I have made myself, and I can share that with you. It basically has the Arabic keyboard. So it takes a little bit of time to practice this, but if you practice this frequently enough, you can actually use it. I think humans have the ability to be able to switch between languages and keyboards as well, quite naturally. And I remember that at a time when I was practicing this quite regularly, I could use the Arabic keyboard quite fast. I'm a little out of practice right now, but I can still remember. So, for example, if you want to write alif, you go alif and then ba and ta and then jim, ha, ha. I'm putting in a space over here so that the words don't get joined together. But you can basically practice these. Okay. And this is the entire 28 letters of the Arabic language, and you can use this to type anything. So for example, if you wanted to go and find a particular word, so let's say I'm going here and I go to the wiki, and now I need to search for a word. So for example, if I'm searching for the word abada, so I would still have to refer to this. So I would say abada is Ain, Be, and I think no, is the yeah, up there. Abada. So you type that in and you get abada over here. So I thought this was a little useful to share.
I just did it and it works pretty good.
Okay, good.
My laptop has an Arabic keyboard because I got it in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
But I think you can probably buy it. Yeah, it has it. It's kind of old laptop, 5-6 years, so it's almost gone.
Okay, but you can see the Arabic script Arabic letters written on top of the keyboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it works quite well. I just did what you instructed.
Okay. So that seems to be the only way to actually use this dictionary. Otherwise, a lot of times you actually have, for example, if you're doing Google Translate, um, oh, need to switch to English, and you say Google Translate, and now you want to write something in Arabic, it has the convenience of actually having a keyboard right there. So then you can, for example, write and uses the same keyboard, abada. So if you're already familiar with, if you're familiar with the keyboard, then you don't have to use this. It's a little clumsy. You can see it translates it into slave.